Dear friends, brothers and sisters in Christ, when I was young, I read Jesus' fascinating descriptions and warnings about the difficult times to come. He promised that when they take you in front of courts and kings, you'll be his witness, and he will provide what to say. I lived my childhood in eastern Finland, right next to the Soviet border. I knew that behind a well-closed border, the Bible was a forbidden book, and even owning it could get you into trouble. Christians who lived behind the Iron Curtain have later told how significant it was that the Finnish Christians smuggled Bibles across the border and supported in many ways during the persecutions. I could never imagine something like this could ever happen in my lifetime, in my home country. In the fall of 2019, I sat in a small interrogation room at a police station. The Bible was on the table, the ponytailed policeman behind the table. He asked what the content of the verses of Romans 1 quoted was. What do I mean by sin? What is the overall message of Romans, or is its first chapter? Do I agree in 2 weeks to delete my writings? I answered no, and I will stand behind these teachings of the Bible, whatever the consequences are. I will not apologize, but Apostle Paul has stated. The situation felt unreal, like I was watching myself in a movie. Can this happen in Finland, a model country of democracy and rule of law? Would I really stand before a judge to defend my Bible-based faith? Only a few years earlier, I was in charge of the police as the Minister of Interior. At the district court, the religious exam was continued. The prosecutor argued that the biblical views on sin are hate speech and a criminal insult to a minority. While working as a minister, I met a Chinese Minister of Religious Affairs who was visiting Finland. He assured that in China you can believe freely, but the expression of faith must be limited so as not to offend anyone. It was absurd to hear the same argument by the Finnish prosecutor in the courtroom. My legal case has already lasted more than 6 years and taken a lot of my time. I have had some painful moments over these years. The process has included long police interrogations, trials at the district court and at the Court of Appeal, and now I'm waiting for the trial at the Supreme Court. I have received 2 acquittals, and I hope and pray for a third. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be heard orally in the Supreme Court, and I'm preparing for the Supreme Court hearing on October 30th with calm mind. The outcome of this legal process will be a significant precedent that will define the state of freedom of speech and faith. I expect that the decision will come in the early part of next year. At its core, the case concerns whether it is publicly permissible to express and support views based on the Bible that are in conflict with the prevailing ideology. The Supreme Court's decision is also being followed internationally as the same worldview shift is taking place in the post-Christian West. If the Supreme Court were to agree with the prosecutor's demand to punish my writings, it would also mean the threat of punishment for thousands of similar texts, both in Finland and in other European countries with similar legislation against incitement against a group of people. An acquittal, on the other hand, would strengthen freedom of speech and religion. The legal process has now been going on for the 7th year, and it has already served as a form of punishment with the aim of silencing discussion and narrowing freedom of speech. On the other hand, it has awakened large numbers of people to defend fundamental rights and the teachings of the Bible. Even in this time, there is a need for sound teaching about the law and gospel. Teaching about sin is not a demeaning of human dignity. We are all sinners before God, and only God has the right to define what sin is. During this legal process, the biggest surprise for me was how much joy and opportunities this has opened. I have gained much more than I have lost. From the beginning, I had a deep feeling that the entire process is in God's hands and that this all has a purpose. I have considered this fight as my calling. It has been a privilege and honor to defend freedom of faith, which is a fundamental right in a democratic state. And I'm blessed for the steadfast support of my loved ones. My husband Nilo is a pastor and doctor of theology. We have 5 children with their families, as well as lovely 12 grandchildren. And they have all stood by me, even encouraging me to stay strong and praying for me. And what has been remarkable is how God has used this legal process. In this ordeal, I have very concretely felt the power of prayer on behalf of me and Finland during this time. This case has opened wonderful opportunities to tell people what is the solution to the problem of sin in the Bible. Without these criminal charges, I would not have had the exceptional chance to testify about Jesus in front of police officers, courtrooms, and through live broadcasts and press conferences straight to Finnish homes. I have been encouraged by the thousands of messages I have received all over the world, in which people have told how God has, through this case, encouraged them to pray and trust His word. Some of them say that they have even found Christ, including some people with an LGBT background. And this ordeal has increased my trust in God. What God has promised in the Bible, He is faithful to do. Jesus is alive and He stands by His word. The international attention to this case has been amazing. I have given interviews, gone to speak abroad, and met many lovely people. Words cannot describe how thankful I am to all the brothers and sisters who have encouraged and supported me during these years. I'm especially grateful that I have been able to get to know my dear friends Henk-Jan and Yolanda and experience their warm hospitality. My husband Nilo and I have experienced also friendship, love, fellowship in Christ, and prayer support. This has given me a strong feeling that I'm not alone in this ordeal, but that we are fighting together for freedom of speech and faith, freedom of the Bible. I'm amazed at how faithfully Henk-Jan has managed to travel to Finland for each trial. These moments have meant a lot to me. I want to congratulate the CCI on your anniversary. These years of work in protecting the sacredness of life at every stage, upholding core family values, and many other issues important to all, but especially close to the hearts of many Christians, deserve to receive all the recognition and praise due to them. We should always be ready to remind our Western nations of the values they are built upon. I want to encourage you in your work in the Christian Council International. You are doing work that is truly meaningful, and the issues you work on are close to my heart as well. I wish God's blessing on you and your work. Thank you.